While I know there's a good portion of men that deserve every single thing that women say about them, there's a good portion of men that don't.
Women are starting to notice that most men today are now going their own way. Today's video comes from Soraya. Her channel will be linked in the description of the video, so go check her out and support her. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand the implications of so many men going their own way and women beginning to notice. Don't forget to check us out on Rumble. Our Rumble will be linked in the description of the video. Also, guys, don't let them convince you that you will own nothing and be happy. Check out Angry's Crypto Academy, which is linked in the description of the video to learn how to buy, sell, trade crypto, and make massive profit. And now let's go ahead and jump right into the video.
What is going on, everybody? I hope you all are having a fantastic day. Today's video is separated into 3 parts. The first part is about a woman who knows who's being toxic, and the most toxic thing that she has done is...
What do you want to know?
What is the most toxic thing that you've ever done?
Okay, let's do this. All right, take them to court and then get a good divorce lawyer, of course.
A young gentleman who's brutally honest about the cost of divorce and what the whole process actually has done to him.
Direct costs, I lost $106,000 out of my 401k retirement plan I spent 20 years contributing to. Now broke, live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and have a negative net worth for the first time since I was, 25.
And a 40-year-old who was talking about her experience being married at the age of 23, and now that she's getting a divorce at the age of 40, how much she was living inside of a cage. She wasn't thinking right when she was married. She wasn't being treated right when she was being married. She felt like life was being sucked out of her.
Now that I'm divorced, I realize how free my life is and how free it wasn't when I was married, and how I felt like in many ways I was in a cage in my mind, a cage in just life. Like I wasn't living.
Guys, can you believe it? My microphone just broke, so that's why you see me sitting here with my headphones. Just bear with me real quick. All right, with that being said, everybody, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. As you can see, we have a lot to talk about, but the moral of today's video is basically, I can't blame men for not wanting to get married, because the benefits most definitely are lower than the risk, or as many people say, the risks simply outweigh the benefits. Why is that though? Why is it that the system really only benefits women in almost everything? Whether if it's toxic feminism, whether if it's them screaming out that they want equal rights, whether if it's like the child support system or the divorce rules and regulations. It seems like everything on this planet is almost against the man, and the woman is just being conniving. I'm not talking about all of them, but she has her plans. She has scheming, plotting, and planning, and always seems to get away with this.
Married 4 times, divorced 4 times. Let's see, let's go. You tell me. What do you want to know?
What is the most toxic thing that you've ever done?
Okay, let's do this. All right, take them to court and then get a good divorce lawyer, of course. Take them for half of the retirement. Take them half of their property, and then fight them for higher child support, okay?
Guys, before we get into what this woman is talking about, I would like to point out how ridiculous she looks. This woman is obviously in her mid-40s, maybe even early 50s, I'm not quite sure, with her cleavage out in them streets. I experience a lot of women who are at that age and who feel as though they have to live their second childhood. Now, is this an appropriate look for a woman? No, not at her age. Cleavage all out. Obviously, she has something to drink. You can see that her tongue is red. And people who are around her whole environment is half as old as she is. What is she doing in them streets? Obviously giving some bad advice. Now, let's talk about what she has said. All of these things that she has mentioned, trust me when I tell you, she is not only talking about it because she feels as though this is some information that she has gotten into, she has applied everything of it. And the fact that she knows that what she's doing is toxic, she could have kept that to herself. She could have mentioned something else, but no, women feel good about that. They feel like that is the ultimate payback. That is the ultimate payback. The more a man suffers, the more happier a woman is. The more a man suffers, the more payback the woman thinks she is doing.
So Soraya brings up a really important point about the dynamics of relationships between men and women in Western society. And as a whole, women don't want men to be happy. If they see a man playing a video game, something that takes his attention away from them, they immediately become very upset and they will do everything in their nature to pull his attention away from it. Because women constantly want to have a man focused upon them. They want all of his attention, they want all of his time, and they want all of his money. This is one of the reasons why women will even openly say, her money is her money, while his money is also her money, because women basically see ownership over that man. There's another reason why women like chaos, because in chaos, women are able to thrive. They're able to thrive in the chaos. They're able to thrive during periods of crises. They get to pick from the winners and the losers. On the other hand, men basically find themselves almost always on the losing end, because even if you come out the winner, you've still ended up losing something. You ended up losing family, you ended up losing wealth, you ended up losing time. While women, on the other hand, basically women sit on the sidelines and they wait to see who the winner is. Women wait at the finish line for the winner, for the guy who wins. So it's a pretty messed up situation. But one thing that has to be very firm is that most women do not want their man to be happy. During the early stages of the relationship, some relationships, women will basically act like they want the man to be happy. But although in most modern relationships, it's not like that anymore. Basically, the way women make it pretty clear that it's about them, the relationship is about them, and if the man wants to be with them, he's going to have to do all of these things to keep them and, make them happy. The truth is that when it comes to relationships with women, if you want to have a good, solid relationship with a woman, one, you can never give her access to everything that you have, which is one of the reasons why marriage is a big no-no in modern society, because it's designed in such a way that women are actually rewarded if she divorces you. A woman is rewarded if she divorces you. She's rewarded if she takes your kids. She's rewarded for doing these things. This is not putting blame on women. This is basically explaining how the state operates, because the state actually profits more from divided families than united families. It actually profits a lot more from broken families than families that remain together, because it allows them a greater ability to reallocate wealth and resources from men and to the state. Everyone gets a cut except for the man. Okay, he's basically the one losing, which is one of the reasons why so many men are waking up and going MGTOW, saying, "Hey, we're gonna go. We're basically gonna go our own way." And then you guys have guys like Bill Burr who are bashing men for walking away, while then at the same time hearing stories from guys who end up losing everything in relationships, and then telling them things like, "Okay, you don't need all of that stuff. You're going to be just fine. All right, you're going to start over. You don't need all of those things. You don't need a big house. You'll rebuild. You'll rebuild." Like, it's a load of absolute BS. Absolute BS. Yeah, I look at Bill Burr's relationship, for example, and he talks about his childhood and the way he grew up. And, he had a hard childhood, something that he doesn't even want to admit himself. Briefly, he'll talk about it. And it's as a result of the toxic experiences that he went through, especially with his father, his parents. It messed him up to the point that now his own marriage, I think he's in a relationship with a very toxic person. And that you can see that, he said something along the lines of once that, he upset every Caucasian woman in the world, like every white girl in the world. He destroyed his relationship with every white girl in the world. Now, of course, that's not perfect, and that's just paraphrasing something I believe I heard him say a long time ago. But the reality is that what he's saying is that he cannot have a relationship that does not have, that's not toxic. And that's the way I perceived it. And, hurt people are drawn to people who will hurt them. It sounds crazy, but that's just how it operates. Because it's kind of like you walk around with a bag of poop for most of your life, and you feel comfortable with that poop. It's all the pain, suffering, hurt that you've had in your entire life. You walk around and you carry it, and then of course it doesn't smell like poop to you. It smells like roses to you now. And then later on in life, you meet someone who's toxic. And, you have your toxic bag with you, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, they smell like roses." So now you basically add that person to your bag, and, and now you feel happy because, you're comfortable with that with the presence of toxic behavior in your life, because that's all you've ever known. So it's it's a very unfortunate thing. Both men and women go through it, but it's just something that illustrates further how modern day relationships just are no longer working out. Even men and women culturally are just no longer compatible. That's why the passport bros, passport kings are growing so rapidly. But let's go ahead and jump right back in. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
When really she's just revealing who she is. A lot of women have that Jezebel spirit in them.
And a couple of years from now, hit you up for more child support every 3 years. Every 3 years, you go up from maybe 200 to 300 to 400 to 500. You bring it up to $2,000 per child. Per child.
I don't know how much disdain a person can develop towards another person. This woman must be such a nightmare when you're a man and you're married to somebody like that. The way she screams here on top of her lungs, and her environment's not even that loud, I'm sure that she is behaving the same way when she is around her man, around her husband. Now, can you imagine having to come back to somebody like that every single day? That probably is giving you the side eye all the time. Where the hell have you been all day long? Or why haven't you've called me back when I called you? Everything to these women is about money. Everything is about money. And you know why they are so comfortable in doing that? Because they know that the system has their back. The system has their back, and the system is created to break a man's back.
While I know there's a good portion of men that deserve every single thing that women say about them, there's a good portion of men that don't. And I don't know if it's just me, but I personally cannot be around people who constantly find it their every opportunity to bash men. And I totally get why a certain situation or experience could literally make you hate a certain species, but sometimes some situations be really uncalled for. You could be talking about the color green, and then out of nowhere, somebody will sit here and say like, well, that's why I hate men, because green. There really are good people out there, but sometimes we're so shielded by the things that we've dealt with in the past that we put all our eggs in one basket and we start thinking everybody's the same. Some of y'all probably blocking love because you're sitting here thinking that boy Z is just like boy A. Or we just be straight up mean to some men for no reason. We do it because we think all of them are the same, and they don't deserve that because they're not. And listen, I think like this whether I'm in a relationship or not. Doesn't matter. But like, some people just get real nasty with their words when they talk about men, and I just can't talk like that. There's so much more enlightening stuff that we can talk about other than bashing the male species. Like, honestly, who cares? Who cares about what those men do? Like, who cares? I'm sorry, but I'm gonna just say it. It kind of gives miserable when all you can talk about is bashing men. It gives miserable. I just feel like there's ways to carry out those conversations. You could literally sit here very cutesy and just say, you know, I've had so many bad experiences in the past that I just don't have faith in men anymore. Versus you saying, well, my baby daddy was a narcissist, so all men are narcissists. So your baby daddy's got to be a narcissist too. Girl.
Literally.
Child. Per child. But I got one child right here. Kaylin right here. Her daddy paying child support for her, of course, it always is. But that's the best thing you can do. I just say it's karma.
Guys, she really speaks with so much confidence, right? I understand that a woman wants to make sure that her children are taken care of, but let's just say in this case, it is $2,000 per child. Cost of living is high. School utensils are high. Everything is high as hell, I understand that. But I would like to talk about people who are with these celebrities and who are requesting all of these crazy amounts for child support. What is that child going to do with all that money? Are you sure that all that money is for the child? Or are you trying to just keep up the lifestyle that your celebrity husband provided for you? But back to this lady though. Not only is she preaching what she's practicing, she's also doing it in front of her daughter. In front of her daughter that she's obviously in them streets with. And that just tells you so much that there is no hope for these women nowadays.
So how much did my divorce cost me? Well, this is a fantastic question. There's direct and there's indirect costs. Direct costs, I lost $106,000 out of my 401k retirement plan I spent 20 years contributing to. I also lost half the equity in the home, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cash, and savings that I also spent 20 years contributing to. I also lost half of all the non-liquid assets like furniture, household goods, electronics, cars. Keep in mind, I paid for all of these. And this is in addition to financially supporting her and her/our daughter for 17 years, which is many hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm now broke, live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and have a negative net worth for the first time since I was, 25. Indirect costs: my job, my sobriety, my self-worth, my masculinity, my hope for the future, my ability to trust women again, my belief in God, my pride, my motivation, my physical health. I don't know, let's just say everything.
The emotional, the mental damage. Wow, I literally feel so bad for this man, and you don't understand how important it is for people to come forward, especially men, to speak up about the experiences that they're having going through these divorce cases. All of that money that he lost. And here's the thing about it, guys, that what I don't understand about women is simply the fact that you're marrying somebody, you're with that person a few years, then you discover that you guys are just, have separate lives, y'all don't get along with each other anymore, you want a divorce, but just separate. What's the point in trying to not only take half, take everything the man has ever worked for in their whole entire life? A woman of faith, a woman with common sense would not even be she would not even be capable of doing that. If I was to separate from my husband today, I would never ever want anything from that man. You know why? What's his is his. What he has worked for, what I have worked for is for me. Why are women like, I gotta take everything that the man has ever worked for? That is something I'll never understand. Not only are these women working and doing their best to take everything that the man has ever worked for, at the same time, they are weaponizing their children against their men.
And you know what, guys? It's sad, but the reality is this. You guys know that I've covered a lot of Soraya's videos over the years. I have nothing but respect for Soraya. But I think that it's hard for Soraya to basically see a fundamental point, just like it is for so many women who make this type of content. They say they just don't understand why women do these things. And the reality is that most women, they can't understand the reasons why they do certain things because they don't understand their own true nature. They do these things very much because of hypergamy and wiring. Hypergamy is ruthless. That's the honest to goodness truth that really explains a lot of this. There's a guy named like Schopenhauer. I probably butchered his name, like Andrew Schopenhauer. You guys will know in the comments who I'm talking about. But he basically was black pill, and he came up with this concept. He basically broke this down like hundreds of years ago, explaining how women actually operate and how women actually think. And he was very pessimistic about human nature, and especially when it came to female nature. And it's not about bashing women. It's not in any way about putting women down, but it's understanding that hypergamy is very, very strong. At a woman's core is her hypergamy. And historically, hypergamy worked in a woman's favor in the way that it helped her to choose the best mate. But you have to also understand, back in the old days, and this is how it operated for thousands of years, potentially, a lot of the choice of who a woman would marry was chosen by her father, by family members, by her community. And even when she did choose a husband, monogamy was policed. So it wasn't, you were not going to go and divorce your husband and take half his stuff. There were social consequences to doing this. If you did something like this, if you ran off on your husband, a lot of the time you were going to end up working in a business for ladies of the night. You were not going to have a comfortable life. You were going to struggle just to find work. It was a different world. Society has been changed where it incentivizes women to leave their families. It operates entirely on a woman's hypergamy because it is prosperous for the state. And it's an unfortunate reality. Women often say they don't understand why when they're in they can be in a relationship with a very good guy who is tall, who is handsome, who makes all of this money. He's very kind, he's very loving, he's always there for them, and they're just miserable in the relationship. And then there's like the thug who doesn't care anything about them. There's the Chad who's broken, doesn't care anything about them, and he's the one who makes their hearts break when he's not around. And the reason is because of hypergamy, because they always want what they can't have, and they want those that don't want them. When they're in a relationship with a guy who really loves them, who really cherishes them, who really wants them, most women see that as not only weakness, but as it leads to boredom. Women don't like to be bored, and women they don't necessarily like extraordinary amounts of stability, because stability for them is boring. You know, I remember like talking to acquaintance, and she basically had gotten married, she had kids, and she basically said to me, my life is boring. She said to me, my life is like, she said, I'll be honest with you, like marriages, she's like, we're boring people. And it was very, very telling, because this is a person who was once, very well known for being almost like a socialite. And now she's married, and she's raising her children and sending them to school and running, and still, like, she runs a business, but she basically views it as boring. And she's like, it's like okay, but it's boring. And I think to myself, like, for a man, it's often anything but boring, because he's busy trying to provide for his family. He's, taking care of his kids. I'm not saying it's like the most exciting thing is going to the club, but for a lot of guys, it's anything but boring. I won't say it's exciting, but it's anything but boring. But for women, they can have a very stable life, a very comfortable life, and it becomes just mundane for them. And the reasoning behind that is because of the way that their brains are wired. Women they love emotional highs and emotional lows. They need both. If a woman is happy all the time, she'll end up becoming miserable. If she's miserable all the time, then she's not happy. But then I know it sounds crazy. Basically, for a woman to ever truly be happy, she has to constantly be going like from high to low, high to low. It's like push and pull, push and pull in relationships, kind of like where like you talk to a girl and then you neg her, so you pull her in and then you push her away, you pull her in and push her away. What you're doing is you're playing with her feelings, you're playing with her emotions, you're giving her constant stimulation, and that constant stimulation basically makes her feel like, yeah, this guy is someone who's giving me what I want. He's giving me that dopamine rush that I enjoy. And as a result, that's what's going to make her attracted to you, because you're giving her dopamine, you're giving her that regular dopamine rush that she enjoys. Because you have to understand that emotions basically make women. I don't know how to really put it in another way, but constant emotions make women happy. A flood of emotions, rising and falling of emotions make women happy because it gives them dopamine hits. And a lot of guys have basically referred to this as a form of it's a dopamine addiction, and it's something that women start engaging in when they are little girls. And the result, and unfortunately, a lot of men refuse to comprehend this. They don't know about it, but they refuse to understand this, that if you don't teach a girl how to control her emotions when she's young, when she's little, it's very important to teach a woman. It's just as important to teach a young woman how to control her emotions. And girls learn how to control their emotions just like boys. Children learn how to control their emotions from their fathers. And if they don't have a father in their life, they don't learn how to control their emotions, because they're learning from their mothers, who are highly emotional and highly reactive. So they're going to mimic that behavior, versus a father who is more, who knows how to control his emotions. They look at that behavior from their fathers, and then they mimic those behaviors as well. It's a very intriguing thing. But if she doesn't know how to control her emotions, it's even more risky for her, because she's going to become addicted to the emotional highs and lows that 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 dopamine rewards. Like, because like, like, for example, she gets really angry, and then after the anger passes, then she gets a hit of dopamines. Then she goes on a nice date, and she's now excited, and now it's like, oh my gosh, this was great. But then that same guy is cheating on her. Now she's miserable and she's crying, or she thinks he's cheating on her. But then he texts her, and he's not responding to her text, and she's miserable. And then he finally does respond like a day later, and now she's happy. And it's a constant back and forth, up and down, and she's getting constant hits of dopamine. And so her brain is rewarding her for this relationship. So she's going to reward the guy for the relationship for behaving like this, versus a good guy who's always there, always listening, is a good father, is a good provider, but he's very stable. So even though she may feel happy in the beginning, she becomes miserable later on, over time, and bored in the relationship, because it's just not enough. She's not getting the regular, constant pulls of dopamine, hits of dopamine that she requires, that she needs. So it's interesting. Like I said, again, Soraya is going to struggle to understand this, but a lot of it comes back to the raw nature of hypergamy. And in a society where hypergamy is rewarded, you're never going to really have a lot of stability in relationships. And that's just my take on it. But guys, if you want to watch Soraya's full video, I'm going to have it linked in the description of the video. You can go and check out her full video. Let me know what you guys think regarding everything. You know, women are starting to notice that men are walking away, going their own way, and saying that we're not going to put up with it anymore. But let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And share.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.